Freedom Wars is a third-person monster hunting action game developed by Deez in 2014. I'm reviewing the remastered version here, released earlier this year in 2025. I love me some Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet, Deez's take on SAO's Gun Gale arc. It's to this day the only SAO game that I can say I enjoyed the gameplay of. Sure, it's jank, but it's got some addictive qualities that made it fun to keep playing. I mentioned Freedom Wars in my Fatal Bullet review, but I never played it, and with it being a spiritual predecessor to Fatal Bullet, I of course wanted to play it. Anything to get that fix, man. There's finally a remastered PC version out now, so let's check it out. The graphics look alright. It reminds me a lot of God Eater, and wouldn't you know it, Shift helped make this game. Still, this was originally a PS Vita game, so can't expect too much. Design-wise though, it's cool. The abductors have this synthetic and organic mixed design with bones and muscles combined together with machinery. They look alien and man-made at the same time, which is a cool mix. The variety is a bit lacking though. There's only like 6 main types in total compared to God Eaters. Holy shit. I mean, the list here is counting the variations too, but even the variations here look way different compared to Freedom Wars' color palette swaps and put more guns on their arms. Even without counting the expanded content, there's way more. What we do have here is cool though. My favorite is the big spider with the big yellow sack on the back. You don't really get to see the outside world much, and when you do, it's not that interesting. It's mostly generic, post-apocalyptic type shit with blue cables and whatever else. Same with the Panopticon. Nothing really caught my eye except for the cell gardens. They look suspiciously clean and they even change shape, which is cool to look at. Performance-wise, it runs well. The PC version released in a shitty state, especially if you're running the latest version of Windows 11, but it's been patched a few times now and it looks like most of the issues have been solved. Overall, the game looks fine and runs well, but I wish it had more variety for the abductors and world design. The game consists of talking to NPCs, going on missions to kill big monster looking mechs called abductors, and upgrade your gear to do all of that all over again. First, you create your character, and damn are there a lot of options. The variety of cosmetics and customization is one of the selling points of Fatal Bullet for me, and Freedom Wars doesn't disappoint. There's a fair few types of clothing sets to choose from with a lot of accessories to unlock, including different color palettes. While the variety is great, I would have liked to be able to mix and match the tops and bottoms and even the gloves and shoes. The color palettes could have been a color slider instead. I don't remember a game that had a color slider for its customization. Not even Sims 4 has a color slider. Is it that hard to implement? The only game I can think of that has it is, never mind. You have an android that monitor your movements and help you on missions called an accessory. This is the predecessor to the Artificers from Fatal Bullet, aka your customizable waifu or husbando. I made her the thick, big titty goth girlfriend I've always dreamed of. I'll talk more about the accessory later. The game starts slow, there's a lot of talking mixed with some tutorial missions here and there, but the pace does pick up after a couple of hours. The combat is really cool but kinda janky. There are 3 types of melee and ranged weapons. I use light melee and an AR, the Hawk Shadow and Barbarous Easy Blaster, but you can also use heavy melee weapons, polearms, miniguns, missile launchers, etc. You can also use 2 melee or 2 ranged weapons in your loadout if you want. You got a grappling hook thing called a thorn that you can attach yourself to abductors or walls to climb on or yank those big motherfuckers down with. I felt like my balls swelled and doubled in size from all the testosterone after pulling these fuckers down. It's badass. Abductors have different parts on them that you can break. Their weapons, pods, arms and legs. If you can climb on, you will most likely be able to sever it. It takes a few tries, but it's pretty damn satisfying. The game controls fine. It feels a bit stiff when using melee weapons. The mouse has some acceleration going on, but it's far from the worst I've seen in a Japanese game. I wish you can rebind the sever parts button with something besides the left mouse button though. My index finger felt limp on occasions from breaking parts. There are a few other mission types besides killing everything like citizen reclamation and capture the flag. They aren't the most fun. Killing abductors is still the bread and butter of the game, but at least they offer some variety. Running my ass to the reclamation unit after carrying the citizen like a football player is some of the funniest shit I've ever seen. Those stealth sections though take no thought whatsoever. My grandma can beat this, they're so mindless. Also, who the fuck wants stealth sections in a monster hunting game? I have more fun watching my cum dry after busting on a brick wall. During combat, your accessory can help you kill things and even carry citizens to the reclamation unit. Your accessory can get kidnapped if they're downed and you couldn't revive them on time. On one hand, it adds tension and agency for your accessory's well-being, but on the other, it's a waste of 5 minutes getting them back if you're having a bad day. I'm not a fan, but if you're into cuckoldry, you might like it. Upgrading your gear is pretty straightforward. There's a lot to upgrade, like your weapon level, elemental damage, mod and augmentation slots. You get materials from abductors and certain areas of maps, with extras if you complete a mission in a fast enough time. In the story, you're serving a 1,000,000 year sentence, and to lower that sentence, you need to complete missions and contribute materials and whatever you can find out in the field. After contributing, you get entitlement points, which is the currency in the Panopticon to use for upgrades and permission to do more things like being able to keep higher level materials without getting your sentence expanded, or being able to run for up to 10 seconds at a time. That's right, you're treated like a bitch until you prove your worth, and I like that. The contribution system kept the game going for me. Every time I ranked up, I wondered what kind of unlocks I'll get next. It kept my balls tickled, wanting more, and the fact that everything feeds back into each other makes for a great gameplay loop, at least up to a certain point. At the end game, you're just grinding upgrades with no more new Panopticon unlocks to get. I don't know what happens when you get your sentence down to 0, but if it doesn't end with me putting a wedding ring on my accessory, I don't want it. Overall, good video game. It's not as hard as other monster hunting games. God Eater is way faster, and Monster Hunter has way more variety and deeper mechanics, but this is still a fun time. The story is set in future Japan. Resources are low and people are fighting to death over it. Whether it be food, materials, expertise, everybody wants it and they're desperate. People are separated into these panopticons, where they're expected to contribute and prove their worth for the right to live there and be alive. There are regular citizens with regular jobs, and then there are sinners. Sinners are people who are born in the panopticon with a 1,000,000-year sentence to serve as soldiers pretty much. Having more people around means a bigger drain on resources, so in order to stay, you gotta prove your worth by defending the Panopticon and its resources. Panopticons also use these big abductor robots to defend themselves and, of course, to kidnap other civilians from other Panopticons to help in their own survival. You start the game by getting amnesia during a mission, which seems to be a regular occurrence around these parts, and your rank gets reset back to Code 1. You're resurrected by this girl called Ares, who followed the YouTube makeup tutorials wrong and has time powers. She needs you to find a girl and free her to trigger an event called the Great Transformation, to help you on your journey or your friends. We have Uwe, who's an older guy who acts like some sort of mentor person, Matthias, who's a new sinner and a wannabe funny man, and many others. This is bitch called Natalia, who's like the supervisor of the Panopticon, and she's not afraid of handing out sentences. She's hot though, so yeah. Ares teases that someone called Simeon will bring about the Great Transformation. The Great Transformation is basically this event that will end the resource wars and restore the world back to its former glory. Eventually, you'll find the girl you're supposed to look for halfway through a BDSM session after sneaking inside a restricted section of the Panopticon. Her name's Beatrice. She came from a place called On High, which is where the rich people are pretty much, and she's looking for her dad, Cesare. Her sister Sylvia came down to look for her, but she makes a fuss about Beatrice betraying On High like their dad and fucks off on her pet dragon after leeching off some ice cream. With the help of a citizen called Julian, you sneak into the cell garden to find info related to Cesare. He apparently had friends in the Panopticon, so you seek them out. Before that, you're tasked to defend something called the Casket from any ops, but some edgelord called Abel from the Horai Panopticon steals it and you're left with nothing. He can also control his own abductor, which is just straight up hacks. Oh, the Casket is crucial for the Great Transformation. While gathering information about Cesare, you encounter them, the ones who are behind the Panopticons. They're pretty mysterious and they seem to be pretty lenient since they barely do anything to you after you murdered a bunch of them. Later on, you help Beatrice find a woman named Kasumi, who's connected with Cesare, and she leads you to Cesare's accessory that looks just like him. Cesare left a message for Beatrice, apologizing for leaving to look for something called the Seed that will bring about the Great Transformation. Anyway, Beatrice gets kidnapped by Abel because she's the key to opening the casket apparently, so you go save her after Julian makes something that allows you to harm his giant red abductor buddy. Abel wants to use whatever's inside the casket to bring about chaos instead of restoring everything. You beat their asses, but the casket gets opened and a giant tentacle machine monster comes out to fuck shit up. After the fight, you get injured and Sylvia comes down with her dragon to fuck shit up, but Ares comes to revive you and invite you to see Simeon inside the casket. After walking through a bunch of hallways, you finally meet Simeon with Cesare there as well. He gives you a weapon that's fueled by emotions to end the fight and a seed that'll grow a door back to his place. You end the fight, the sisters make up, and Julian helps you find a discreet place to grow the door back to Simeon. You go to the door with Beatrice, but she can't go in because circumstances, but she understands and you're off to see Simeon again. He asks you some questions that don't matter and present you with 4 paths. Path of the Warrior, Preservation, Other Paths, and Alliance. I chose Alliance because I thought joining Simeon sounded like the most canon path. You talk to Cesare about Beatrice and Sylvia and he tells you to take care of them and that he has to stay to bring about the Great Transformation. And that's about it. It just kinda ends. For me, the story is very mixed. The plot about resources running low leading to the apocalypse may not sound unique, but by adding abductors and the whole prison theme, it turned into something unique. The fact that sinners are treated like shit is kinda confusing. I get the fact that they're a drain on resources, but they're also like the first line of defense. Maybe not treat the people protecting the community like shit. It's like in God Eater 3 where Aegis are treated like shit for being able to trigger ash storms, except here it makes even less sense because sinners have no equivalent to that. It's just we don't have enough pizzas to go around, so you gotta go to war. Why not some other job? The characters are kinda generic. I don't really like any of them. You don't get the amount of character development you do in God Eater with the character episodes, or hell, even in the main story. They don't have their own troubles they gotta deal with or any unique perspective on the state of the world or anything. You got the older member of the group who's wise, the kind-hearted funny man that gets hot-headed sometimes, the cool tomboy, the guy who wants to fuck his sister. I mean, if you watched anime before, you know these people. The Great Transformation seems intriguing at first, but in the end it all boils down to we gotta kill the rich people to fix everything. Speaking of rich people, we don't get to know much about On High. They're rich and hates the surface and they have dragons. They just feels really cartoonishly evil. Same with Carlos, Horai, and them. Simeon could have been cool too, but again, little to no character development. Underdeveloped is what I would describe this whole thing. The conflict between Beatrice and Sylvia at the end just ends out of nowhere. From them fighting to making up and riding on the dragon, it took literally 3 minutes if you skip the meeting with Simeon. What did their scenes accomplish? You don't even take the fight to On High. Ares also said that your choices matter, but there's only like one choice you make throughout the game. And it's like, what are we even doing here, man? Freedom Wars is a decent game. The game looks alright, but lacks variety for the monsters compared to other monster hunting games like Monster Hunter and God Eater. The amount of customization for your character and accessory is astounding. The combat is fun with a lot of gear to choose from and upgrade, and fighting abductors is always chaotic. The story feels underdeveloped. It has some cool ideas here and there, but felt boring and not everything was written to its full potential. It's a game with good gameplay and some blue balling on the side, and coming from someone who really enjoyed Fatal Bullet, that's about what I expected. You can spend hours with the customization system and upgrading and optimizing your build. It has that addictive quality that made me nut with Fatal Bullet, so I'm gonna savor it, because the next time we're looking at a Dimps game, oh shit.